that many of you are at home now, and you're just a few days away from your EPT, which is going to be this Thursday, right? This is already Tuesday. So in 2 days' time, you'll be sitting for your reading and also writing papers. Okay, so inshallah, today we're going to look at reading as a whole, the reading skills, and also we're going to look at EPT after that, yeah? EPT for reading. If you have any questions, you can ask, as what Sister Majdina mentioned just now. You can ask in the chat box, or you can also just unmute your mic and ask me questions, yeah? Whatever that you have in your mind. So because this is your last chance, yeah, I'm sure you don't have classes anymore with your teachers. Some of you may have, but most do not have classes anymore. So if you have any questions, you can ask. Okay, right. So I'm going to share the screen now. I will have to ask Sister Majnina if you're around. It says here, I want to share the screen. It says here, host disabled participant screen sharing. So can you, however, undo that?
Okay, let me try to check that, because the real host would be the ITD staff.
I see.
Okay.
So how did you share the screen just now?
I have been set as host, but the setting part, I have yet to learn about the
I see.
setting. But then it was okay last few sessions. Wait, maybe I can make you the host so that you can share. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good.
Host.
Okay. Okay. I see you can also record. Yeah. Or
Yes,
do I
have
record?
started the recording.
You have started recording.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Can you see the screen?
Yep, we can see the screen.
Sorry. Suddenly I started with the end. Yeah. Hold on. All right. Okay. We are going to be looking at reading skills. Yeah, as I said just now. Not only we're not going to go straight into the first, and then we're going to go into the EPT reading. All right. So hopefully I'm able to share with you some tips, skills and strategies on how to ace EPT reading. Yeah, I'm sure you all want to score the highest band possible. Inshallah, hopefully after the workshop, you're able to take away a few tips, yeah, and you're able to do well in your EPT reading, inshallah. All right, what we hope to achieve by the end of the workshop. All right. We want to understand what academic reading is. I'm sure many of you already read for leisure. Yeah. When we read for leisure, we read novels, we read articles, we read all the social media statuses, yeah, updates, feeds, yeah, Twitter, whatnot. Those are all considered as leisure reading. Okay, leisure reading is rather passive. It's not an active activity because our mind does not retain what we read for long. However, when we're talking about academic reading is more active, it's more intensive because your mind is told to retain the information. So the skills are somewhat different from leisure reading. Okay, with leisure reading, you don't need to be very critical. You just read for entertainment, for pleasure, right? So this time round, we are going to look at academic reading. Yeah, so don't get confused, or you have to know the difference between leisure reading and also academic reading. So our focus in the course is academic reading. All right. So with academic reading, you need to be an active reader. So we're going to look at active reading strategies, how to be an active reader. And later, we're going to look at the components of EPT reading. I'm sure many of you already know, but we're going to go through very briefly the components of EPT reading, and also what you're tested on, okay, in EPT reading. What kind of comprehension skills are tested? And how to answer the questions, what kind of skills to use, and what kind of strategies to use, right? So hopefully by the end of the workshop, you're able to get all the information to whatever that I've stated here. Okay, so part one, understanding reading itself. I'm sure you have been reading for the past how many years? At least what, 12 years, yeah, of your life? So what's so difficult about reading then? Why is this skill still in the syllabus? Why do I need to learn how to read all these texts? Can anyone answer and share? Why? Do you like reading or not? And why do you think that we need to learn reading? Anyone would like to try? Too bad I'm not here with you. Yeah, we're not
To
together in
test
the
our
call.
understanding in reading.
Yeah, to test your understanding. That is for exam purpose, right? But reading as a whole, why do you, reading in the syllabus itself, of course, it's not, the teachers teach you not for you to just answer EPT reading, right? Not just for you to answer reading questions. But why do you need to learn reading? Why do your teachers teach you reading?
Because we get to gain new knowledge.
Gain new knowledge, that's right. When you are a college or university student, you will be doing a lot of reading, right? And you will read texts, your textbooks, yeah, articles, journal articles. Later you will read other people's research papers. Yeah, you'll be doing a lot of reading, and you need to have the right skills to be able to understand what you read. As I said, this is academic reading, right? So you need to get the right skills for you to understand later on in your during your UG years, yeah, undergraduate years. There's another English paper that you'll be doing, yeah, which is English for academic writing. I think most of you will be taking that. So for English for academic writing, you will be looking at research papers. If you do not enhance your reading skills now, later you'll have difficulties when your lecturer or your teacher tells you to summarize the main ideas, for example, or to extract the points to support your stand. Then you will not be able to select, extract, synthesize, paraphrase, all these advanced reading skills that you need to do later on. Okay, so here is the time when we want to help you develop some of your reading skills that you need for you to be able to read and understand, which is the most important thing, yeah, to understand what you read. Of course, reading makes you smart, right? Like what our friend just now, your friend just mentioned just now, yeah, to gain knowledge, yeah. Reading makes you smart. So please read if you want to be smart. I'm sure you're all very smart people. That's why you're here in CFS. And the more you read, the more things you know, of course. And the more you learn, the more places you'll go. This was written by Dr. Seuss. Eh? If you know who Dr. Seuss is, he's a character, right? So these are all the benefits of reading. It enhances your knowledge, and it is also a type of exercise for your brain. Did you know that when you nowadays, yeah, the youngsters, they're always on the phone, right? And they're always playing games, all these digital games. Actually, all these activities will decrease your mental capacity. You will lose focus. You will not be able to concentrate for long. And how to counter that damage, is to read, because when you read, it will help your brain to concentrate, okay, and to focus. Through reading also, you will be able to expand your vocabulary. Sometimes I get students who tell me that, Madam, I don't know, I cannot find the right words. So how do you overcome this problem? Is of course through reading, right? And and it also helps to improve your writing skills. You will have to write a lot, not only for English, not only task 2 essay or task 1 essay. For all your other subjects, you'll be writing a lot. And later on, during your undergraduate years, you'll be writing a lot more assignments. So how do you improve your writing skills so that you have a wide range of vocabulary, you have all these beautiful sentence structures that you can use, is through reading. When you read, you're more exposed to different types of sentence structures, and you become very comfortable with the language. And one last one here, I'm sure there are a lot more benefits, but these are the more relevant ones, I would say, for students. And the last one would be to enhance creative, critical, and also analytical thinking. As compared to leisure reading, as I said just now, academic reading will help you to be more critical and to be more analytical. Tapi kalau you just read for leisure, for entertainment, before you even start to read, you're already telling your mind, I just want to relax, I just want to read something very light. You're actually, you don't say it out loud to yourself, okay, now I am reading for leisure. You don't say that, right? But as you reach out to your phone, and as you scroll through, I have Facebook, for example. As I scroll through my Facebook, I know that I just want to read for leisure. I just want to relax at the end of the day. So when you tell your brain that, it doesn't go into the critical and analytical mode. But when you do academic reading, when you read your textbook, for example, you know that you switch on that mode, right? The critical and analytical thinking mode. So how to be good at reading? It is just like an exercise, that you do to your body. If you want to have a muscular body, you want to slim body, you will need to exercise a lot, right? So the same goes with reading. If you want to be good at it, you will need to practice so that your brain is trained and you will be better at it. The first and foremost advice, the most important piece of advice that I will give you is that always read for meaning. Don't read because you want to answer exam questions. That one is later. Exam question tu, jangan fikir sangat. But first read for meaning. When you look at a text, you will say, okay, what is the text about? I want to know. So if you read for meaning and you read to understand, you will be able to answer the questions later. So when you understand, you're able to answer the questions, no problem. But if you read to answer the questions, sometimes you will not be able to answer the questions because you don't understand what you read. Okay? So first read to understand. Or in other words, when you want to read to understand, you will need to be an active reader. You cannot be reading while at the same time thinking of something else. Or you cannot be reading and at the same time tersenggut-senggut nak tidur. That means you are not an active reader. So you need to be active. How to be an active reader? First, you have to build connection with the text. How do you do that? How do you build connection with the text? Of course, you will need to first feel motivated to read. I want to read. This is something interesting. I want to know more. With whatever material that you read, of course, you will get some kind of new knowledge, right? So feel motivated, have this positive vibe about reading, all right? Have awareness and clarity. So clear your mind. Don't think of something else, as I said. Enjoy the whole reading experience. Get aim for getting that overall meaning, yeah, of don't be so bogged down by all these words that you don't understand. Tak apa, yeah, so long as you understand the text as a whole. And ask questions as you go along. Kenapa ya? Even if you have all these questions in Malay, it doesn't matter. So long as you have questions that you want to ask. Ni cerita pasal apa? Kenapa dia macam ni? How does it happen? What does it cause? Yeah, what is it caused by? What are the effects? Okay, so ask all these questions as you read. And turn reading as a habit. Yeah, turn it into a habit. Always spend a bit of time to read every day. Okay. So there are a few active reading strategies. Again, why I'm sharing you all these things is for you to know that when we teach you reading strategies or reading skills, it's not just about answering EPT exam questions. Please, yeah, I hope you will be able to get a bigger picture. You will need these skills for all your other subjects. It's not about English. Yeah, English is just a tool. It is like learning how to drive a car. Yeah, learning English is something like that. It's a skill. Yeah, you learn how to drive a car. For example, you go to this kelas memandu, right? And you're given a Viva to drive. Does that mean you can only drive Viva throughout your life? Tak, kan? Because it's not the car that's important. It is the skill. So the same goes, yeah. If you learn reading skills ni, does it mean that you are able only to answer EPT reading questions? Bukan. You are able to use the skills for all other subjects, right? Throughout your life, whatever that you read, you use the same skills. Okay, so when you're reading your subject, for example, you're revising your biology subject, use the same reading skills. So what do you do? There are 3 steps to reading whatever article. We call it PSR, preview, study, and then review. Okay, so preview, study, review. Under preview, what do? You skim. First, you skim, yeah, to prepare yourself what you're going to read. So tengok sikit this chapter. Oh, okay, chapter ni pasal ni. Okay, so you get the gist of it first. So to skim is actually to look for general ideas. Kan? Apa beza skim and scan? I'm sure you have learned this in class. Yeah, skim and also scanning. Skimming is to get general ideas, yeah, and scanning is to look for specific ideas. Okay, so when you skim, you don't have anything in mind, you just want to know what the text is about, right? And then you ask questions, what, who, the usual lah. For example, you're reading something on vaccination, you get an article and check, artikel ni pasal apa ya? And you read and you learn that it's about vaccination. Adalah the word COVID-19, vaccine, Pfizer, yeah, Sinovac, and all those words. So you thought, okay, nature pasal vaccine. So you get an idea, an overall idea already. So you ask all these questions. What is about the vaccination? Yeah, who? Kita pasal orang mana ni? Orang di US, in Japan, in Malaysia. Oh, cerita pasal student CFS. Okay, so you're answering the question who, when. Oh, it is vaccination program later in April, for example. So where in CFS? So, oh, it is about CFS students when they return to CFS in April, they will have to undergo this vaccination exercise, katalah. Okay, so when you read, when you ask all these questions, you're able to get an idea of what the text is about, right? Can you relate to prior knowledge? If you have any idea, any prior knowledge, then probably you can relate it. So for example, when you read about vaccination tadi, kata CFS students will be vaccinated, and the vaccine that they will be vaccinated with is Sinovac. Macam pernah dengar lah pasal dia ni, bukankah ini ada effects? Yeah? So you trigger whatever that you know about vaccination. Yeah. So those are things that you can do, preview before that. And then when you read, you're more serious, you go into it and you read from the first sentence to the last. What you need to do is to tell yourself, I need to know what the main idea of the text is. Okay. And then you also need to know the text type. We'll go through this later. Yeah. Need just overview. Text type. Okay, organizational pattern. These are very important skills. I think sometimes this is not stressed on enough. This part on recognizing the text type. It is a very useful skill. If you know how the text is organized ataupun how the information in the text is organized, you're able to understand the text so much better. Everything becomes so much clearer, inshallah. Later we'll look at this. I hope you will be able to see that. Okay, and then you will look at, try to identify if the author also writes in his views, his ideas, yeah. Kalau dia ada cerita pasal idea dia, oh, I am against this, oh, then you will know, oh, author is against the use of certain types of vaccination, for example. Later, after you finish reading, summarize the main ideas and try on the main ideas. Do I understand betul ke? Are these all? And do I agree with the ideas that the writer or the author includes in the text? Yeah. So you start to reflect and make connections, okay, with your existing knowledge. So now you know, you will say, oh, rupanya yang ini lebih banyak efek, yang ini tak ada efek. Yeah. You will reflect and judge, yeah, the information that you have. So please, I would again remind this over and over again. We're not just talking about EPT reading. Yeah, these are skills that you can use for any kind of reading material. All right, your textbooks, yeah, journals, newspaper articles, whatever it is. Okay, so far so good. Am I going too fast? What's the time now? Okay. Any questions so far?
No, madam.
All clear, madam.
Okay. All right, good. Okay, of this, of all these steps, yeah, if you don't have time, okay, ni tadi untuk semua in general, but if you don't have time, especially in exam, I would advise you to focus on these two steps. One is to identify the main idea of the text, and the next is to recognize the text type. If you cannot do the others, but exam kan, you have limited time, never mind. At least when you read a text, you look at passage 1, the test paper is in front of you, you look at passage 1, you need to do at least these two things. You have to identify the text type, and also you have to identify the main idea. Even if you cannot write a proper main idea statement, doesn't matter, as long as you know, okay, roughly, this is what it is. Okay, don't attempt the questions before you know this. Because believe me, if you're able to identify the main idea of the text, you are able to answer the questions very easily. Okay? So these are the two most important steps, as I said, identifying the main idea and also identifying the text type. So how do you identify the main idea? Very simple, you ask these two questions. What are the two questions? The first is, what is the text about? So that gives you the topic first. Again, as I said, it doesn't have to be in English. If you're not comfortable thinking in English, you can just ask yourself in Malay even, yeah? When you read a text, you read the first paragraph, cerita pasal apa ni? So if you're able to imagine your friend, your close friend is sitting next to you, he or she doesn't have the text with her or with him, and you are reading the text and you have to very simply explain what the text is about to your friend. Okay, it's just like your friend asking you, what are you reading? Baca apa tu? So, you know, whatever that you say in those few words, that is the topic. Yeah. Oh ni cerita pasal whatever it is, right? So that is the topic. And the next question is, what about that topic? Yeah, what about it that the writer wants the reader to know? So that gives you the main idea. So as I said, if you read something on vaccination, so when your friend asks you, what are you reading? So you say, oh ni, pasal vaccination. And then your friend asks again, yeah, oh, pasal apa, right? What is it about vaccination? So you say, oh, all the different types that Malaysia has actually imported, yeah, all these different types, and also the side effects ataupun the pros and cons of all these different types of vaccines. Oh, and then probably she or he would want to ask you more. Oh, habis tu yang mana yang paling elok? So then you will go into the specific main ideas. So first is the general main idea of the text itself. Okay. So identifying the text type. Okay, kalau nak cerita pasal text type, there are actually a lot of different texts. Okay, there are narrative text, there are descriptive text, you have instructional text, kan? Macam kita baca manuals tu, those are instructions and directives, open this, do that. Those are instructional text. You also have argumentative, but what I want to focus on would be expository text. Kenapa? Because with academic writing, usually the texts are all expository. And for our LAM courses, you focus on expository text. Okay, so in EPT, all the texts are all expository text. Under expository text, there are 5 different types. Okay, you get me? Again, I'm going to repeat this. There are many different types of text actually. Kita ada narrative, contohnya novels, yeah, short stories, those are all narrative texts. We also have descriptive text, for example. This can be in the form of article, it can be in the form of short stories, poems, for example. You also have instructional ataupun directive text. You also have expository text. You also have argumentative text. Tapi we are going to focus only on expository. Okay. Under expository ada 5 types. One is problem solution. This is the most popular in EPT. Okay, if you look at the text in EPT, most of the texts are problem solution kind of text. Okay, the next one is cause and effect. Apa beza dengan problem and solution? Usually in problem and solution, you have a problem, and then towards the end, the last 2 paragraphs are usually the solutions. The writer will give solutions in the last 2 paragraphs. But with cause and effect, you don't have the solutions. They're just talking about the causes and finally the effects. Okay, and it stops there. And you also sometimes have texts which are descriptive in nature ataupun it has definition. Ini usually passages 1 and 2. Dia cerita je. Contohnya the different types of diet ataupun other ones we had it was something on fermentation of food. Okay, ataupun harvesting, dia cerita je basically, ya. How do you know this is just definition ataupun description? Usually it has words like, for example, yeah, this can be seen in a lot of examples. Dia cerita and then examples, yeah. Ada satu, if you have done this, I'm not sure if it was during IGA, something on milk. That one is also description, just definition and description. Okay, no problem whatsoever. And sometimes you also have comparison contrast. I remember there was one text on the difference between butter and margarine. Okay, so throughout it just talks about that. Butter macam ni, margarine macam ni. Okay, and last one is sequence and time. I've not seen this before in EPT. We've not used this. And as I said, the most popular would be the first 3. Comparison contrast sometimes ada, yeah, but very rarely. Yeah, the most popular would be problem solution, cause and effect. Okay, so when you get the text, you will go through, skim through it very quickly, and you will see it will start with some kind of problem, and then sometimes they akan bagi solution. Right? If you don't believe me, you go and look at your EPT paper again, then you will realize that betul lah. Okay, let's have a look at the first passage. Yeah? This is passage 1. Let's try the techniques that I talked to you about just now. The 2 steps. Yeah. First is to identify the main idea. And next is to identify the text type. You can go either way. You can start with identifying the text type ataupun with the main idea. I usually go with the text type because I want to have an overview, yeah, of what the text is about. So we can do that. Okay, let's look at the first passage. This is passage 1 taken from your EPT practice paper. I'm sure you have read this, but if you haven't or if you've forgotten, never mind. We can read this. It's quite short. So you can read this again. I give you a few minutes to read, okay? And then I want you to tell me what the text is about. You can write your answer in the chat box. Okay? First, just give me the topic, what the text is about. That's all. I give you a few minutes. I give you like 2 minutes to read. Okay, done? So what is the text about?
Reading habits.
Reading habits.
Okay, reading habits. In particular, if you can identify something about reading. You know it's something about reading. That's good. At least you have got that, yeah? Because
The
you can,
decreasing,
yeah?
decreasing percent of reading.
Okay,
Among
you're
and
already going towards the main idea, all right? So it talks about reading habits, reading, pleasure reading. Focus is more on that. So, but here it says that in contrast to reading, right? Okay, just in contrast to academic reading. So the focus is more on leisure reading, right? So you will see all these words, yeah? It's repeated throughout. There are more actually. If you see that there are more words, read, read, read. If you count, I think there's so many. Yeah, this word is being repeated throughout. But these are at least the ones that I want to highlight. Okay, so you have, so you have all these words. So what is the text about roughly? It focuses on, I think some of you answered here. Let me read the chat. Yes, Fatin, you raise your hand. You want to try and answer? Reading habits, okay. Yeah, reading habits among people. Okay, all right. So, sorry. Okay. So the text talks about focuses on reading for leisure. Okay, reading habits. Okay, reading habits untuk leisure ni. Not so much on academic, yeah. Dia punya focus is more on leisure. If we look at the text again, you will see here it talks about as fewer people read in their free time. So it's leisure reading. Reading as a leisure activity will virtually disappear. Okay. So at least we get an idea first. Now, can you tell me the text type? Nanti we'll look at the main idea statement. But first, I want you to identify the text type. Remember the three most popular text type, yeah? Problem solution, cause and effect, and also description. So which do you think this is? Do you see any solution? I will go for that. Yeah. Do you see any solution in the last paragraph ataupun the last paragraph? So if you look at this, you will have words like, okay, now everything in relation to solutions for this problem. Can you see this? Yeah. In relation to the solutions for this problem, Frank agrees with Goya that publishers need to print better quality titles and that the media and educators need to make sure that this happens. So, ini adalah solution kepada problem ni. Now you have to identify what is the problem. Okay, so here you already have, you already know the text type. The text type is problem and solution. So somewhere here would be the problem because here you have the solution. What is the solution? Solution usually is more, is easier to identify because it's usually very clearly stated. Okay, so here the solution is publishers need to print better quality titles. Okay, right. So maknanya adalah something to do with leisure reading tadi ni. Ya, mesti ada problem. What is the problem with leisure reading? So if you identify the text type, you already know the text type is problem solution. So now you have to identify the problems and then the solutions. So what are the problems actually? If you go back in the text, then you will see, okay, kita baca. Okay, what is the problem? It says here, reading is becoming less popular, right? Then here is the clue for you. One of the most worrying things is that people who read also do more volunteer work. So this study suggests that, okay, readers ni, kalau readers, they are very positive, yeah. They take a very dynamic and positive attitude. They enjoy life, yeah. They eat healthily, they exercise, they enjoy their lives the most. But the problem is now, many people do not read because we have an increasingly passive consumers of electronic entertainment. It means this is the problem that is worrying. It's not so much just because people don't read. Okay, people don't read satu masalah. Tapi sebenarnya there's another problem that's related to not reading. Okay, because when they don't read, that means they become passive people who are not living the life actively ataupun healthily. Sebab kalau orang yang membaca, just now it says here in the research, it says here that people who read, they are healthy, they exercise, they enjoy life. People who don't read, they are passive, they only stay at home, sangat mandom lah, kan? Non-readers ni. So if you are non-readers, you better change and better start reading now, because later if this becomes a habit, then you become very passive, not only in your daily life ataupun in your lifestyle, but also in your thinking, and you'll become very passive. So inilah, when you read ni tadi, this is what you do, you process and then you relate that, Mak, do I read enough or not? Am I going to be a passive person? Am I going to affect, is my brain going to be affected because I don't read enough? So this is when you reflect, you start to relate this to your own self. So this is active reading, okay? So you don't just read, apa ni, nak jawab soalan apa, and then you answer the question. That is when you don't get the information, you don't understand what the text is about. If you don't understand, that is when you are able only to answer some of the literal questions, question yang surface level je. But when it comes to more critical questions, you're not able to answer because you don't understand the text. All right? So that is basically the problem. Problemnya adalah orang tak membaca, and when they don't read, they become passive. And Americans, and we're not just talking about everybody lah, kalau according to this text, the focus is more on Americans, but it is actually also true for everybody. Okay, so in the text, it says that Americans no longer read for leisure, and they have become passive consumers of electronic entertainment and also become passive lah, as suggested by the text. Okay, so what are the solutions given by the text ataupun by the author? It says that the publishers need to publish more books, but the problem is that because they publish so many books, good books go unnoticed. So the solution, the first solution became another problem. Okay, they publish a lot of books to attract people to read, tapi akibatnya good books go unnoticed. And then to solve this problem, they are becoming more selective. The publishers only print better quality titles. Okay. So when we have this, identify the text type, kita dah tahu roughly it is problem and also solution. Again, as I said, ini when you have the time, then you can really identify. But if you don't have the time, because it is during an exam, you only have about 30 minutes for each text. It's good enough if you're able to identify the text type and roughly lah, apa masalah dekat sini. So if you can get the idea that, oh, it is about reading, people don't read enough, and so okay, at least you already have the idea. So apa solution dia? And as I said, solutions are usually very clearly stated, so you can easily identify and underline. Okay, so once you know this, then you can come up with your main idea statement. Your main idea statement is, the declining number of Americans who read for leisure is a worrying problem that needs to be addressed immediately. Okay, because we don't want this group of people to grow larger. All right. So now you know what the text is about. You're able to answer all the questions, and inshallah you're able to whatever question that come your way, you're able to answer them correctly. Yeah, sebab dah faham text. Right. Okay, let's try another one. This is a different text, but it's still passage 1. Okay, I just want to highlight that this is a different text type. Okay, so we'll do the same process again. All right, so identify the main idea and also text type. Let's try the text type first. What is the type of text for passage 1? Is it problem solution? Is it cause and effect? Or is it definition, description? If you're here, can I would have given you presents to the ones who are able to answer. Too bad like you're not here, can? All right, let's see. Problem solution, is this it? Is this your answer? Yasmin, okay. The others, what do you think? Is this problem solution? Do we have problems? What is the problem here? Do we have solution? Can prevent, okay, probably. Sebab dia kata prevention, yeah. Is there a solution? Then you will have to find, ada ke problem dia? If you think that it's problem, it is problem solution. Cause and effect. Okay. Okay, others? Can I see more answers? Are my students here? Where are my students? Where are your answers? Okay, any more other answers? Cause and effect as well. Okay. All right. If you want to make sure whether you are correct or not, yeah, try and get identify words. Yeah, that also helps. Identify words because with a certain type of text, there are words that people use. Okay. Cause and effect. Yeah. Oh, so many of you answer cause and effect. All right. Okay, we'll get to that in a while. So first, tell me, what is the text about? Tadi dah baca kan sikit-sikit because you want to know whether it is cause and effect ataupun problem solution. So what is the text about here? You have words like, okay, let me help you. We have words like, we have children, discipline, yeah, rules, children. So you see all these words, repeatedly everywhere. So what is the text about? Someone try. Right, Fahmi Ikhwan, cara mendidik anak, disciplining children, right? How to discipline children. Okay. All right, let's see. Right, good. Okay. Disciplining children. It's about children and discipline along that line. Yeah. Discipline. Okay, how to, good. All right, good. Good answers. Okay, how to build discipline children. All right, how to discipline our children. Okay. So again, the text type just now. Dang, 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 dang. What is the text type? I think I should not do this. If I do this, this one is definition and description. Okay, it's not cause and effect actually. Okay, let's have a look, yeah? Why we say that? Because, let's see, here it says here, different types of discipline. So what do we have? Okay, first we have most children under 1 year old, what can be done? And you have words like, for example, okay, and then you have a different group of people, 18 months, what do you do? For example, and then you have at 2 years, what do you do? And then after 2 years, what you need to do. Okay, so here it talks about the different types of discipline for different age group. And then here, what it talks about, how to prevent discipline problems. So you have first, you do this. Next, you do this. Okay. Lastly, you do this. Okay. So actually, dia cerita je, dia information saja. Right? It's just basically information. So it talks about discipline, and it talks about the different types, yeah, and how to overcome discipline problems. Basically, dia adalah expository, dia information. Alright, tak ada issue, no issue here, no problem, nothing to solve, unless it says here that now parents, more and more parents do not know how to discipline their children. More and more parents have spoiled the children to the point that the children are becoming rude. You know, children nowadays are rude. Baru ada masalah, right? When you're talking about something that is different now. Okay, so that gives you the idea that there is a problem. It's usually that something is different now. So katalah dia cerita budak-budak dulu baik, very obedient, yeah, very respectful of the elderly. Now, parents do not discipline their children much. And then dia bagi solution. How to prevent this is by doing this. Ni tak ada, dia cuma cerita sebenarnya. There's no problem here. Okay, do you get what I'm saying? All right. So, what is being defined or described? First, it talks about the meaning of discipline. Meaning of discipline is to for the children to be able to have self-control. Importance of discipline, different types for different age group, and also ways to prevent discipline problems. So from this, when you know this already, you go from one paragraph to another, then you get these ideas. You know that the text talks about knowing the right way to discipline children helps them to develop self-control. So it's the overall idea of all these things here. Okay, all this here. Okay. Right. So far, so good?
Good, madam.
Okay. All right, good. Now, let's continue. So the one that you're waiting for, EPT for reading. How does it help me when I know all these things just now? Of course lah, memanglah berkait, right? You have to know how to read. And for you to be able to identify the main ideas, we want you to develop all those skills. So how do we find out if you know or you have all these skills which are needed for you to survive later in your undergraduate years? Can, as I said, in your undergraduate, all throughout your undergraduate years, you'll be reading a lot of articles, textbooks, journals, macam-macam, right? So we want to prepare you for that challenge. And we want to make sure that you are ready. So how do we know that you already have all the skills? of course, we'll have to test you. So that is where EPT comes in. Okay, so we have to test you and we have to ask you questions that you are supposed to ask. You know, these questions, you are supposed to ask these questions. When you read, you are supposed to ask, what is the main idea? Yeah. Oh, author ni nak cakap apa ya? These are the questions that you should ask yourself. And when you ask these questions, that means you understand the text. So we hope that you're able to do that. How do we know that you understand? We ask those questions. So before you are asked, but you ask the questions first, okay? And then when you're able to answer, that means you can answer any question that comes in the EPT, okay? Right. So what are we tested on? Come on, madam, cepatlah, we want to know, right? What are we tested on? I know you're very excited to take exams. You're all very suka exams, right? Okay, so this is what EPT is about. Many of you may know already. I'm just giving you a review or revision of what EPT reading paper is about. Okay, it has 4 reading passages and 40 MCQs, okay? 40 MCQs. You're given 2 hours. Usually, when it is a pen and paper exam, you're only given 1.5 hours. But since you're taking this online, lucky you, we give you an extra of half an hour. Because we know that some students are struggling, you know, they use the phone, so it's very small, it may take time for you to read, but and some may also have problem with the internet connectivity, yeah. So when you want to later, you know, submit your answers ke apa, mungkin ada masalah. So that's why we are giving you a bit of extra time. So you get 2 hours, okay, to answer 4 reading passages. And this is the score. So you need to get at least 5.5. The majority of you will need to get at least 5.5. Those who are doing Arabic medium courses and also Malay medium courses, you only need to get a minimum of band 5, which means that you are able to answer at least half, roughly macam tu lah, yeah. Out of 40, you're able to answer about 20 questions correctly. If you're able to do that, that means we feel that you already have enough skills for you to survive. But it would be better, of course, if you're able to answer more questions correctly. Yeah, that means your skills are better. Yeah, you have better skills and you're more ready to take up any challenge, yeah, when it comes to reading text. Give me whatever, I'm able to read and understand. Okay, because even if I don't understand some of the words, I still know the skills and techniques to go around it, right? So this is the score. I hope you will aim for at least band 6, 7. Yeah, janganlah tak pagar 5.5. Because if you get 5.5 for reading, you also get 5.5 for writing, let's say 5.5 for speaking. You only fulfill one condition. You need to fulfill 2 conditions. Yeah, remember? One is to get a minimum of 5.5 for each skill. The other one is an average of 6 overall. If you only get 5.5 for all skills, you only fulfill one condition. You do not fulfill the second one, which is an average of 6. So for you to get an average of 6, that means for some of the skills, you need to get more than 5.5. Okay, so usually the best bet is to score in your reading. Get at least a 6 or a 7. 7 will be comfortable. Yeah, if you get a 7, then you get 5.5 for speaking, 5.5 for writing. That means that's a total of 18 divided by 3. You get an average of 6. Okay. What are the skills or comprehension skills tested in EPT? Okay, you are tested on 3 skills mainly. Okay, your language ability or your understanding of the language, your understanding of the organization of a text, yang tadilah yang text type tu, okay, organization, how the information is organized in a text, and the content of the text itself. Okay, so there are some questions on language, yang biasanya vocab questions, right? This means apa? Also have questions on organization of the text and also the content of the text. Okay. Under language, you have to guess the meaning of words. And it's not just all the time contextual clues. Sometimes it is the use of affixes, yeah. Sometimes your understanding of the root word ataupun compound nouns, yeah. Overload, it's a compound noun. So, and sometimes also figurative language, right? And for organization, we want to see if you understand the relationship between ideas. Sometimes ada idea yang sebelum ni is stated one idea, and then however, and then the next idea. So you know that second idea is actually a contrasting idea is the first. Okay, so we want to see if you're able to identify that. So there is a question on that. And also how some words are given synonyms, yeah, and some words are repeated using pronouns or different words. Okay, a lot of things to show or to test you on cohesion of the text. And for content, we test you on two. One is literal comprehension, yang surface level je. The other one is the critical analysis ataupun evaluation of the content. Okay, so usually, yang passages 3 and 4 will have more questions on this. All right. Okay, let's go through one by one. Okay, remember tadi ya, ada 3 kan? Language, organization, and also content. Let's look at language. This is one example. All these questions are taken from your EPT practice paper, and I only focus on the first passage and the one on reading tadi, reading for leisure. Yeah, okay. So this one is on language. You have to guess the meaning of the word. Okay, you have how to answer this question. Yeah, the skill. Yeah, I would give you the skill here. Skill here. You need to identify the word form. This helps lah. If you're able to do this, then it's really good. Identify the word form. Dia ni noun ke, verb ke, adjective or adverb, right? And then the word function. Kalau dia adjective ataupun adverb, usually it is to describe, right? Adjective is to describe a noun. Adverb is to describe the verb. Okay. And also the context. All right, let's look at a sample question. This is question 5 under passage 1. The word uncovered means. One clue is if it's a vocab question, you have this word lah, means. Okay. So this is also actually to test you if you understand the word un. Yeah, maknanya if you go back here, it is affixes, yeah. Dia ada prefix un. Right? So you know the word cover, so uncover, faham tak? And it's not just uncover as in a verb, but here it is uncovered, it is adjective, yeah? So this is how it looks like in the text. I've already taken the sentence out. One of the most worrying things uncovered by the NEA report is that people who read also do more volunteer work or attend concerts or sports events. So what is the word form? It is an adjective. The word function is, this is to describe. Remember kalau adjective dia describe nouns kan. So mana nouns ni lah, worrying things So dia uncover worrying things. Siapa yang uncover ni? A report. A report yang uncover worrying things. So if you put all this information together, what does a report do? A report uncovers worrying things. So if you go back to this, uncover here means, does the report open worrying things? Does the report prove worrying things? Report show worrying things? Ataupun report suggest worrying things? The answer would be right. Good. The answer would be shown. Yeah. Because report, as I said, report tu buat apa dengan worrying things ni? Dia uncover, iaitu dia show worrying things. Okay. So that is the strategy when you have to answer a vocab question. If it would be really helpful if you can identify the word form. Okay. When you know the word form, you know the function lah. So you have to ask yourself, dia ni cerita pasal apa? Okay, so here it is adjective, uncover pasal apa? Worrying things. And dia uncover oleh siapa ataupun apa. Kalau orang uncover, probably the meaning is different, right? Uncovered by a policeman, meaning dia lain. Tapi ini uncover by a report. Okay, so kalau report dia memang very clear, dia show. Dia tak suggest, report ni memang dia tulis je, right? Next question. Question 6. Dynamic here means, again, we'll go through the word form, the word function, and context. All right. So dynamic, the first group, the readers takes a very dynamic and positive attitude. So we know that dynamic is an adjective. It describes the first group, iaitu the readers. Okay. Kalau konteks dia, kita nampak lepas dynamic ni dah ada and positive attitude. You know, with the word and, it shows that this and this are the same. Yeah. Kalau sini kata but, then you know lah, ni positive, maknanya ni negative, right? But here it is and, so dynamic must be something positive, right? So you have that idea. And then read further. The other group does not and consists of, maknanya dia ni taklah dynamic and positive, right? Consists of increasingly passive consumers. So, you know, it is opposite of passive, right? Opposite of passive. Therefore, your answer is dynamic means, senang sangat kan? Answer is? Right, good. Okay, active. Yeah, this is so simple, kacang putih. Sometimes kan, the funny thing is, with some of my students previously, they answer some of the easy questions wrong. So I asked them, why? These are very easy questions, kenapa salah? Because they're so easy, madam. We thought it's a trick question. We don't give you trick questions. We don't purposely want to trick you. We just want to test you whether you have the ability or the skills or not. We're not going to trick you ataupun no. Okay. So there are some questions which are really easy. These questions are for the benefit of those in the lower levels, so that they have the confidence that they're able to answer some of the questions and they feel very comfortable, they feel very confident to answer. And they know for sure, okay, memang ini jawapan dia, very clear. Okay? So there are some questions which are really easy, especially in passages 1 and 2. Yeah, the questions that are asked for passages 1 and 2 are usually kind of easy. Okay, usually becomes more difficult to passages 3 and 4. Right? Okay, so you get an idea, ya, tadi. Kita ada vocab. So vocab question macam tu lah. Sometimes dia tanya context clues, sometimes affixes, sometimes opposites, antonyms. Okay. Now we'll go on to organization. Alright. Macam mana pula soalan organization, right? How do you ask questions on organization? So there are ways actually to test whether you understand the organization of the idea in the text or not. One is a very I think your teachers must have done this already in class, which is to teach you something on reference. Reference words. Okay, so that is only one part of to understand the flow of the text. Kita ada cohesion tu. Remember or not? If you attended the writing workshop, you would know this, and your teachers may have also told you this in class or pointed out this in class, that you have to be very careful with your point of view. Your point of view. If you talk about when you're writing your essay, you're talking about students, so you say they throughout. Jangan tengah-tengah you kata you, your. That means your point of view dah tak consistent. That means your organization, it will affect your marks on organization. Yeah, because there is no cohesion. All right. Cerita berterabur. Kejap you're talking about students, they, sometimes you're talking about, yeah, and then suddenly you're talking about you have to do this, you have to do that. And then sometimes you tukar pula in the last paragraph, we. So it is not, it doesn't have cohesion. Okay. We don't know who you're referring to actually. You're referring to students and you're including yourself in the group of people or not. So the same goes, yeah, with reading. Reading pun, we test you on the reference. Word ni refers to which noun, yeah. If you're able to follow that, that means you're able to follow the organization of thought, yeah, the organization of thought of the author. Just like how your teachers are able to follow the organization of thought in your essay. Okay. All right, so here they refers to, let's look at the sentence. The NEA found that the number of Americans who say they have even opened a single novel over the course of a year has fallen. Okay, so they here refers to, this is very easy, it goes back to Americans. Okay, good, Afiq. Yeah, the answer is A. Americans. So senang lah this one. Tapi dia tak not just reference dia ada lain lagi. A lot of things that can be asked under organization. You can also be asked about substitution. Apa substitution? Contohnya so. Yeah. By doing so, so refers to usually so ni it refers to one long idea. Yeah. By doing so, that means by doing apa dia. Okay. Sometimes ellipsis ni dia tak repeat. For example, my brother has a car, but I don't. You do not repeat, but I don't have a car. So you just stop at I don't. My brother has a car, but I don't. So ellipsis, maknanya ellipsis ni, what is the idea that is not repeated? Okay, you can actually do the same in your essay. So you don't have to be repeating the idea over and over again. So you can also use ellipsis, you can use reference, you can use synonymy. All these things that you learn in reading can also be applied in your writing. Okay. Connectors, as I said just now, connectors ni macam but, and, because, so you know the connection between the ideas. Okay. A different one. This is synonymy. Maknanya, one word tu, sometimes you don't repeat the same word. Even in your writing, you do that, right? So sometimes you use youngsters, yeah, especially in your task 1, for example, you're talking about the elderly, the group, the old people. Yeah, you don't repeat the word elderly throughout. So sometimes you use the old people, those who are between, or those who are in the golden age. Itu pun another way of referring to the old people or the elderly. So there are many different words that you can use to refer to the same noun or the same subject. With students, for example, or with teenagers, you say these youngsters, these teenagers. So you use youngster to refer to teenagers. You don't just use pronoun they. You can also use a different noun to refer to a subject. Okay. So here titles ni, surprisingly, publishers have responded to the decrease in readers by having far more titles. So titles here refer to, again, this is a very easy question. It refers to books, right? Okay, so far so good, yeah? Another one on organization. Just now we have words, those kind of words, yeah? I want to talk also about indicators. Okay, indicators ni, we can understand organization between ideas through the use of indicators. Indicators to introduce an idea, to conclude an idea, to identify an objection ataupun a contrary view. Yeah, you will have words like on the other hand, however, kan, then you know that it's a contrary view lah. Just like how you write in your introduction. Yeah, sometimes you disagree, right, with the idea. Let's say the topic is, I just gave this to my students for, I think you also wrote this kan on for your EPT practice. You wrote something on wearing disposable mask, and also mask is better than wearing, wearing reusable masks is better than wearing disposable masks. So let's say lah, you disagree and you say that wearing disposable mask is better. So you say that many people now, because of COVID, and we are people are expected to follow the SOPs, one of which is to wear mask when we are in the public area. So many people opt to wear reusable masks because they are cheaper, for example, they're more fashionable. However, kan, bila you baca the word however, you know that you're going to disagree, right? So you do that, kan, in your writing. The same goes in reading pun. The author does the same. When the author wants to give a different idea to a popular view, for example, then the author will use some words to signal that. All right. So if you're able to identify that, then that means you have good reading skills. And if you're able to use what you learn in reading in writing, that's even better, because you're able to apply what you learn in reading and you apply that in your writing. Okay. So one question is, this is a very popular question in EPT. Soalan wajib mesti ada, which is writer introduces the idea that. Okay. One secret that I'm going to share with you. So only these people who are here, about 196 of you, you get the secret from me. With this type of question, it's very easy. The idea or the answer is stated in the first sentence of that paragraph. 80% of the time, the answer is in the first statement of the paragraph, because they nak introduce an idea. So introduce an idea almost similar to main idea lah. Okay, they introduce the idea, so you have to go back to the first sentence of. But there are instances when the answer is in the second sentence of the paragraph. When the writer actually talks about the previous paragraph first. Not only katalah we're talking about floods. First, it talks about flood in katalah in Malaysia. We're focusing on Malaysia. The article is something on flood in Malaysia. So first it talks about flood in Middle East, in the East Coast. Okay. And then second paragraph, the writer wants to talk about a different part of Malaysia. So the first sentence dia kata, although floods, floods may occur more frequently in the East Coast. However, people in the West Coast also experience flood, especially during the monsoon season, katalah. So, dia punya introduction of that paragraph sebenarnya adalah the second sentence, not the first. But first tu, dia macam recap. Dia recap the paragraph before that. So, writers jarang buat macam ni. Okay, only about 20% of them do this. Most of them, they will follow the normal conventions of writing, which is to start with a main idea ataupun they will introduce the idea in the first sentence. Okay, but I don't want you to quote me and say, but madam, that this says that it's always the first sentence. No, it's not always as in 100%. 80% of the time it is the first sentence, but sometimes, or 20% of the time, it can be the second sentence. Tapi itu je lah. Sangat-sangat senang, right? This question, you should not get this wrong, because you already know when it says introduce the idea, the sentence lah. Okay, so this is actually taken from the first idea. From the first sentence of that paragraph. Surprisingly, publishers have responded to the decrease in readers by having far more titles for people to read. So what is the idea being introduced? The answer is, which is paraphrase ni? Right, good. Answer is D. Ahsanta, ahsanti. Right, good. The answer is, publishers produce more books to encourage readers to read. Okay, so remember, soalan wajib, introducing an idea. Ni salah pula. And, A-N, bukan A-N-D. Introducing an idea. Answer 80% of the time is the first sentence in that paragraph. Sometimes it is the second sentence. How do you know if it is the second sentence? Read the first sentence. If it actually talks about the sentence, the previous paragraph, then that means second sentence is the answer. Okay. All right. Now we're going to content. We have already covered language, organization, and now there are questions on content. And I wouldn't say that most equal, dia sebenarnya almost equal number of questions too. Out of 40, we will have about 10, 12 on organization, and then about another 12, 13 on content. And of the 12, 13, 14 content, most of the questions are literal comprehension. Half literal comprehension, another half would be the critical comprehension. I would say 2/3 good. 2/3 lah literal comprehension, another 1/3 would be the critical comprehension. Okay. Scanning question is sangat popular. There are tons of them in your EPT, right? Such as this. So what you need to do with scanning question is just matching basically with the first two passages. The scanning questions, usually the words are not paraphrased heavily. They are written as they are. Sikit je, they rephrase ataupun reword the question to very slightly. But with the third and fourth passages, the ideas are paraphrased heavily. Okay, but it's still very literal. Maknanya surface level je. You just need to match. So probably you need to match synonyms lah. You will need to know that they're talking about the same thing. It's just like when you read pun. When you read, for example, The Brothers, if you want to know or find out more about a football match lah, for example, there was a football match yesterday and you want to know the result of the football match. So it was between, I'm bad at football. Why do I take this example? Okay, anyway, katalah it's between MU and Liverpool. Okay, alamak, MU ni, what is the gelarannya for MU? Red Giants ke? Is it Red Giants ke? No. Voice, you tell me.
Red
Manchester.
Red Devils.
What's that? Red Devil. Okay, Red Devil, sorry. Okay. So let's say you want to read about Man U. So sometimes you don't get the word Man United, right? So when you read, you scan through, you go through whatever lah your social media account, whichever that you prefer, and you will look for Man United. But even if you see Red Devil, you know that it's talking about the same thing, right? Your mind is able to do that. Dia boleh click kan? Oh, ni dia. So you will read further. Okay. So it's the same thing. It's paraphrased. You don't see word per word lah. Of course, we want you to be able to do that, to make that connection as you read. Okay, but since this is taken from the first paragraph, first passage, is very direct. So according to NEA, the percentage of American readers fell to how many percent in 1982? But surprisingly, even though it is very direct, many students got this question wrong. Why? Because you don't read carefully. Can you read 46.7%? Yeah, many answered this one. But if you read carefully, what is the answer, dear? Actually, dear students, then it found that the number of Americans who say they have even opened a single novel over the course of a year has fallen from 56.9% in 1982 to 46.7% today. Dia tanya pasal percentage in 1982, so the answer is D. That's right. Okay, it's 56.7%. 9%. All right. So this is scanning. Yeah, scanning for first passage, second passage, very easy. Peanut, peanut, peanut. All right. Identifying main ideas. This is another literal comprehension, tapi sometimes it can be critical comprehension, which means the main idea is not stated, it is implied, so you will need to read and identify, yeah, what the main idea is. Okay, so main idea of paragraph 1, this is the paragraph. You have to read this again. Usually main idea is stated in the first sentence or the last sentence of the paragraph, but that is not always the case. You have to read. We don't want you to just straight away like go and say, oh, okay, it's the first paragraph. Because if you do that, especially for this paragraph, you will get the answer wrong, yeah? Because many students answered C, yeah, as the answer, because they read the first sentence and they think that that's it, right? As fewer people read in their free time, reading as a leisure activity will virtually disappear in half a century. So here you say that it is, this is the main idea, which is not, because if you read further, then you will know that it talks about how the number of Americans, we're not talking about people as in the world, yeah. If you say this, that means we're talking about people small. Reading as a leisure activity everywhere in the world will disappear in the future. But here actually we're just focusing on the American population, okay. So that's why this one is wrong, because this paragraph here talks about only the American population. So the answer is D, okay. If you look at all this information here, it talks about how less than 50% of adult American population now practices pleasure reading, and the number has dwindled or gone down, right? From 56.9% to 46.7%. So here the focus is on how the reading for leisure activity is not so popular anymore among the Americans, right? So main idea, usually first, second passages quite direct, yeah, but third, fourth passages implied most of the time. So you will have to read, ask those two questions that I told you about earlier, kan? What is this paragraph about? Sama je. Passage pun you can use the same two questions. Paragraph also you can use the same two questions. What is this passage about? Or what is this paragraph about? And what about it? So here you will talk about, what is this paragraph about? It's about reading habits of Americans. What about reading habits of American? It has gone down over the years. Okay, so that is the answer. Tadi literal, literal comprehension. And now we are going to the critical comprehension of the text. Now, this is where the challenge is. We have inference question, we have drawing conclusions, we have evaluating evidence, we also have fact versus opinion. Yeah, you have to evaluate fact versus opinion, but fact versus opinion is actually quite easy, an easy question to answer, because facts would be those, what are facts? Sorry, lari sikit daripada inference. We talk about that one first, a bit. What are facts? Facts are things that already happened. Anything in the past tu semuanya facts. Everything in the future bukan facts. They are bound to happen, not yet happen. Even if you predict, even if you say like 10 minutes later pun, you cannot say, right? That is a fact, because you can drop dead and you can just drop and die 5 minutes later, kan? So that means it won't be a fact. So apa-apa in the future is never a fact, yeah. Everything in the past is a fact. Research, facts, okay. Findings, research findings, research results, those are facts. You also have facts about the world, yeah, the sun rises in the east. And then you have also general truths like, yeah, those can be considered as facts. Okay, other than that, there will be opinion of the writer, prediction, Itu semua adalah opinion. Okay, so that is fact and opinion. It also falls under critical evaluation, right? But one question which is popular under this category is the inference question. Many students have problems with inference question. What is inference basically? Who can answer that question? What is inference?
Assumptions.
Assumptions, okay. What do you need to base your inference on? Two things. You need to base your inference on
General knowledge.
clues and general knowledge. Good. Okay. Clues and also general knowledge, right? That is why sometimes some people, they are not able to infer, although there are enough clues, because they don't have enough general knowledge to try and relate the two. For example, if you go to a different country, you're not familiar. If you go to Japan, for example, you're not familiar with the culture over there in Japan, and then you do something wrong, and people look at you, yeah, and people start to snigger and laugh. For example, they point. I'm sure Japanese people are not like that, but let's just imagine that is the case. Yeah, people point at you, people laugh, and then everybody turns around and then they whisper to each other. You know, based on all the clues that you see, you know that there's something wrong, but because you don't have the general knowledge, you are not able to infer, right? You will go like, what is happening? What's wrong? And you know there's something wrong because from your knowledge, prior knowledge, you know that when people look at you, people point, people laugh, then that means there's something wrong. Yeah. But you don't have enough knowledge to know what is that thing that is wrong with you. Okay. So you need to have both. Therefore, how do you make sure that you have enough general knowledge? It goes back to reading. You have to read. You have to read a lot so that you have enough general knowledge and you're able to infer. Okay. And you have to play detective a little bit and get the clues. All right, so let's look at this one. Okay. I did not copy the whole paragraph because actually the clues are here only. Can be inferred in paragraph 4 that, okay. Actually you can infer from here. Okay, another one that I want to talk about inference. Inference, there is also one type, one way to infer, which is the opposite. Opposite conclusion that you can make ataupun opposite deduction that you can make. It's not just about A plus B plus C plus D, therefore the conclusion or the assumption is this. You can also have A, that means I understand opposite of A, or I can understand Z, for example. Like in this case, yeah, it says here, 40 years ago, you used to worry that a good book would not be published. So what does it say now? Now everything is being published. Katalah, the sentence is not here, then you can infer from this, that means now we are worried that a good book will be we are worried that books will be published, but people will not notice, right? Or another, let me give you one example, if you don't quite get what I'm trying to say. Let's say, I think I give this example to my students previously, if they're here. Let's say your mom says to you in your final exam later, if you get straight A's, yeah, I just told my son, he's taking his SPM now. I said, if you get straight A's, then I will buy you a new phone. Yeah, his phone is really almost not working now. So I said, never mind, don't worry about your phone. Later, you make sure that you get straight A's, and then I will buy you a new phone. Okay. So let's say nanti later exam results is released, and then katalah dia tak tengok lagi his results, yeah, and I look at the results first, and then when I look at the results, I say, tak apalah, tak payahlah beli phone, jimat duit. If I say that, that means he can infer that he doesn't get straight A's, right? Because I said that if you get straight A's, then you get a new phone. So if I say, oh, now I can save my money, I don't have to buy your phone, that means you can infer that he doesn't get straight A's, although I do not tell him that, right? So that is the opposite type. Now one person says this and you can infer the other. Okay. All right. So it's the same case here, yeah? Here it says that now everything is being published, a lot of good books are not being noticed. So what is it that you can infer? Yeah, you can infer that it's difficult to identify good books because there are too many books in the market. Yeah, everything is being published, a lot of good books are not being noticed, right? Difficult to identify, not because they're not around, but because there's just so many. One thing that I just want to very quickly touch on, when I read this text, what came to mind is what is also happening in Malaysia. Do you notice that this thing happened in America many years ago? Okay, and Malaysia is always like 10-15 years behind America. Yeah? So if you want to know what is going to happen to Malaysia 10-15 years from now, you look at what is happening in all the advanced countries ataupun developed countries, especially in America, because we Malaysians ni somehow kan dia look up sangat to Americans. So in America, this thing already happened like 15 years ago. People didn't want to read. People were so attached to gadgets. And people didn't want to read. They become very passive. And in order to overcome this, the publishers published a lot of titles. But because when they did that, a lot of good books were not noticed. It is happening in America. And don't you think that the same thing is also happening in Malaysia? If you go to bookstores, what do you see? You see a lot of books, don't you? You see a lot of all these novels, As you enter the bookstores, you will see a lot of novels. But what kind of novels do you see? Allah, hai. You will see suamiku sotong lah, istriku ikan lah, anak, all those things lah that you will read, right? Apa ni boyfriendku apa pemandu food panda, grab food, all those titles. And akibatnya, you don't get to see all these good qualities, good titles. Okay? The same thing is happening in Malaysia. Itu je lah. So I hope you do that. Yeah, as you read through, you make all these connections. Okay, so this is inference. I hope to be able to do one practice very quickly with you. It's also taken from the practice paper. Okay, but before we do that, just a few words before we end. Yeah. So some reminders for you to take your APT. Very quickly, let me recap what we have covered so far. First and foremost, when you sit for your EPT on Thursday, yeah, when you want to start answering the reading questions, and before you start answering the reading questions, I hope you first clear your mind and be very positive and feel that, okay, what can I learn today from the reading text that I'm going to read? All right. With that in mind, and try to understand what you read. That's the first and foremost, most important thing. All right. So these are my reminders to you, all dear students. Know what the text is about. Make sure you can explain it to someone in a few sentences. If you're able to do that, inshallah, you're okay. Okay, you're going to be fine. If you don't know what the text is about, that is when you need to worry a little bit. Alamak, cerita pasal apa then you have to read it again. Spend a bit more time reading. Later, you will find that you're able to answer the questions quite quickly. Okay. Identify the question type. Oh, this is scanning, or ni vocab. Roughly, yeah, roughly. Oh, ni scanning. This is vocab, or this is reference. This is on content. Oh, is the purpose of the author. Oh, okay, I need to read more critically because it's a critical punya kan skill. Kalau main idea, okay. Main idea first passage. Oh, ni mesti stated ni. Ataupun main idea second passage. Okay, it could be stated. All right. So you know roughly what the question is, and you know the skills and strategies how to go about it. Don't spend so much time on vocab question, yeah, scanning especially. Don't spend so much time. And some of the questions are really easy. Okay. Spend more time on the more difficult questions. Difficulty level of text and questions range from easy to very difficult. Get the easy ones right, please. Okay, some questions are really that easy, as shown just now. They're really easy. You can get those questions. Yeah, you can get the correct answers to those questions. Spend around 25 minutes to 30 minutes on each text. You get 2 hours. There are 4 passages. So the first 2 passages probably less time, 25 minutes, 20 minutes, and then spend about 30 minutes on passages 3 and 4. My advice is for you to answer all questions before you move to the next text, because at that time you're already into it. You already understand the text. That means you just focus on that and finish answering all the questions. If you come back to the question, you just leave them blank, and then you come back, you will waste time rereading the text because you may forget already. Okay, so habiskan, then you move to the next. All right, even if you're not sure, answer first. Jangan biar kosong langsung. At least answer. If you have time, you can go back to it. If you don't, then at least you already have one answer. Okay. Most importantly, enjoy reading the text. It helps you answer the questions better. All right. Okay, I think that's about all. It's almost 2 hours. I'm just going to let you ask me questions in the last 10-15 minutes. If you have any question, please ask me directly or type in the chat box. Okay, so all the best. Good luck in all your exams, in your EPT. I hope I don't see you next semester. So infer apa tu? What can you infer? Okay. All right, any questions?
Assalamualaikum, madam. I have a question.
All right.
It's about the second question about the main idea. Since the answer is D, is it supposed the main idea should be a general statement?
Was that just now the main idea question? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, this one?
Yes. Because isn't the main idea we were supposed to identify the general idea before getting into specifics?
Yes.
Yes. So the answer is supposed to be C or D, madam?
The answer is D. Because, as I said just now, this paragraph here does not talk about people in general. Yeah, here it does say, as fewer people read, okay. But here it focuses on the reading habits of Americans. Yeah, so it talks about American throughout. So maknanya when we're talking about reading for leisure, the focus is on actually Americans. If I ask you the question, what is the paragraph about? You will say reading habits. Okay, what about reading habits? Reading habits will disappear if, let's say, you answer this question, right? You say that this is the answer. You say, oh, it's about reading habits. Your friend doesn't see this paragraph, and you're telling your friend, what is the paragraph about? And then you say, oh, it's about reading habits. Oh yeah, what about reading habits? Or it will disappear in the future. Oh yeah ke? Everywhere in the world? Tak lah. Here it talks about America, right? Kan? It doesn't, this one, this sentence here does not represent the idea here. Yeah, because it doesn't talk about people in general everywhere. It only talks about American people. So that is why D is the answer and not C.
Thank you, madam.
Okay, all right.
Madam Nawal, we have a few questions in the chat box. Should I read the questions for you?
Okay.
Okay, so we have a question
okay.
for...
I can.
You can read.
Okay, all right. Will we still use Google Form? Yes, that's right. We will be using Google Form. Your teacher will share the link with you on the day of the exam. Okay. Opposite in meaning, is that answer must be antonym? Yes. Yes. There is a question on this, yeah, for vocabulary. Dia kata opposite in meaning. Yeah, many students also got this one wrong. It should be the antonym, yeah. Opposite in meaning is the antonym. I'm looking for that. How can we know the author's feeling, like optimistic ataupun determined? Usually there are words to show the author's feelings. If the author is not happy, kan, dia akan words throughout the passage tu, you'll read all these negative words like devastating, kan, worrying. You have all these negative words, so you know that the author is not happy with the situation. But if you see words like hopeful, we can hope for, ada all these positive words, then you know that the author is optimistic. Okay, kalau dia neutral, you cannot see any of. You don't see this or you don't see that, ataupun dia ada both. Ya, dia akan kata, ya memang ada problem, tapi kita boleh atasi, that kind of idea. So you know that the author is being neutral. Is this recording, will it be posted? I'm not sure. Sister Majdina?
Yes, usually the recording will be uploaded on YouTube, and then we will share the link with your teachers, and your teachers will share the link with you.
All right, okay. Read throughout the passage first or read the question first? I would advise that you read the passage first, okay? And then you read the question, then you go back to the passage. Read the passage first. Don't worry about the questions. Sometimes if you read the questions, you'll be very worried and so hung up on the questions. Enjoy the text. Read the passage. Baca je. Okay. You just want to know, as I said. But don't read macam, okay, tak payah ambil tahu, right? You read as in, I want to know what the text is about. What is the text type? Oh, it talks about solution, problem and solution, or it talks about cause and effect. What are the causes and what are the effects? If you go through the reading practice paper, tak apa, kejap ni kita tengok very quickly we look at the reading practice paper. Okay, sometimes we read the text and we misunderstand a certain paragraph. Yeah. How you can avoid is actually, again, as I said, by trying to answer, see if you can answer that question. If your friend asks you, what is this paragraph about? So you write that down, this paragraph is about this, and then tengok balik that paragraph. Betul tak? Okay, kena tak? Sama tak? If you look at this paragraph, for example, let's say you misunderstand. You read, and then you try to answer. What is this paragraph about? Oh, something about reading comic books. People like to read comic books, entertainment magazines. Okay, katalah you misunderstand and you think that that is the idea. Or the idea is that people prefer to read comic books, entertainment magazines, ataupun leisure materials, materials for leisure reading. Tengok balik, betul tak daripada awal? Orang suka ke atas ni? Tak pula. Second sentence cakap tak pasal orang suka leisure reading? Tak. Cuma this third sentence, the preferred choice of reading material is leisure reading. So, okay, it's just one supporting detail. It is not the whole idea. Okay, so you don't choose a supporting detail to be a main idea. Main idea should be something more general. Dia cerita pasal apa secara umum. Okay, secara umum. So that's why you need to get the topic first. Topic first. Katalah topik ni, you cakap topik dia adalah preferred choice of reading material. Daripada awal ke cerita pasal preferred choice of reading material? Tak. Kan? So it cannot be a main idea. Okay. Mana tadi? Okay. Ada lagi question? Is it true that sometimes in the inference question, the answer is not in the passage? It is correct in a way because inference ni is not something stated. Yeah, if it's something stated, then it is not an inference. My favorite example, yeah. If let's say you see your close friend is crying and you know your close friend very well, you know why she's crying, and another friend asks, why is she crying? And then, or what's wrong with her? Yeah, let's say, imagine this scenario, yeah. You are you are in your room and then your friend enters the room and she's crying. And you can predict lah, you can somehow infer. You can somehow infer what happens to her because you know your friend well. Maknanya apa? You have enough general knowledge of your friend. That means you are able to infer. Yes, that's right. Betul, Nur Ain. Inference macam tersirat. Betul. So you see that your friend is crying, you are able to infer. And then another friend comes in and asks, kenapa dia tu? And if you say, nangis, are you giving an inference or not? You're not, because you're just stating what can be seen, kan? A fact. What will the response from your friend be? Lah, aku tahulah dia menangis. Aku tanya kenapa. What does your friend mean? Your friend wants you to give that inference, kan? So you don't state the obvious. Obvious is not an inference. Okay? Yang inference tu apa yang tersurat? Yang tersirat. Right? Not tersurat. Apa yang tersirat? Yeah? What you can understand from it based on the clue that you see. Okay? Let me give you another example. Inference, yeah? With small children lah, usually, ataupun husbands, men, they're not able to infer well. Sometimes, kan, the wife sulks, or the wife merajuk, pasang muka. If the husband is able to infer and able to take all these clues, oh, dah malam, you see that, there's no food on the table, so probably my wife is sulking because she has not eaten. She's been waiting for me to eat, right? So you can infer that. You can say, you haven't eaten, yeah, let's go and eat. Does your wife say anything? She doesn't. She didn't say anything, right? But you can infer. But if you are, I don't know lah, sometimes you're memang saja blur ke, buat blur ke, yeah, and you ask your wife, why, what's wrong with you? And then your wife answers, nothing. And then you take it literally, and you don't infer, you take it literally. Oh, tak ada apa-apa, okay, then you go to sleep. And then your wife sulks the whole week, right? Because you're not able to infer. Ataupun another case, yeah, anak tanya dengan mak, can I go out this weekend with my friends? And then your mom says, don't, stay home. Your exam is just around the corner. Yeah, don't go out. And lama, just for a while, exam, I can read that, or I can study later, blah, blah. And then your mom says, go, pergi lah, pergi. Right. With that tone of voice, you know your mom very well. Yeah, you know that if she says it like that, you know that although she says go, it means don't go. Yeah, that is your inference. So if you go to your friend and you will say, or if your friend is there outside and your friend says, tu mak dah bagi, and you say, no, I cannot go. Yeah, your friend is just taking the literal, okay? Because your mom says go, but you know the inference bit. No, I cannot go, right? She'll be very angry with me. So itulah inference. Always remember that. Inference ni, it is not what is stated. It is what you can understand, but it has to be based on clues. You cannot like come up with something totally different ataupun make generalization, over generalization. Okay, if let's say your friend is crying and then you say to your other friend, why, what's wrong with her? Entahlah, nak commit suicide kot, right? Suddenly, crying, and then suddenly you make that generalize and you're trying to infer dah jauh sangat. Okay, so that's not right. So it has to be based on whatever that you see and what you know. Okay, I hope I've made sense with all my examples, or did I just confuse you further? I hope not. Okay, how to understand the sentence, but we don't know the meaning of certain words. of course, you have to guess. Yeah, you don't have your dictionary with you. You just have to guess the meaning of the word. Try and delete the word or cover that word. Yeah, cover the word and try and look at the context that the word is in. Another way, sometimes also the word gives you clues. Kan, especially if you know certain root words. With certain root words ni, it would be good if you know certain root words, yeah. Actually, some very common root words in Malay, in English. But this, I will have to do a different workshop on this, yeah, because there's quite a bit. But my quick answer would be, you have to just guess the meaning of the word, guess intelligently by looking at the clues around the word or the context. Ni Putra ni, what do you say blur ni apa? Blur because you don't understand my explanation, or you're saying that yes, blur men are usually blur? All right. I'm not sure if we have the time. It's already 12. Sister Majdina, do we get the platform only until 12?
I'm not sure about the expiration of the link, but I think as long as we're using it, we can continue. It's just that we have to attend the briefing for exam.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we have, unfortunately, teachers of ALT will need to attend one briefing, yeah, on the exam. So I need to end it here. I hope you have benefited a bit, or at least if not much, yeah. You have benefited from the workshop. And I wish you all the best for your exam. Inshallah, you will do well. Don't worry. Okay, I think that's all. Thank you, and I pass over to Sister Majdina.
Okay, thank you so much, Madam Nawal, for the very fruitful sharing session. Okay, so I hope everybody could benefit from this workshop and it could help you with your exam in 2 days' time. So this session has been recorded, and the recording will be uploaded on YouTube, and I will share the link with your teachers. So once it is ready, I think your teachers will share them with you, and you can look at rewatch the recording, or maybe you want to share it with a friend. And the recording for the previous 2 workshops are also on YouTube. You can also have a look at them. Okay, thank you so much everybody for joining. So we will end our session with Tasbih Kifara and Surah Al-As. Okay, so I think this concludes our semester as well as all our workshops. Thank you so much for Madam Nawal again, and everybody for joining us. We hope the best for everyone. Okay, so don't worry. I hope you will do very well for your exam this Thursday. Okay, so with that, Assalamualaikum and thank you again. Bye-bye, everybody.
Okay, Assalamualaikum. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Madam.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, madam.
Wish us
Madam.
madam.
Thank you,
Welcome.
madam.
Welcome. Bye-bye.